I looked at my daughter Lily sleeping peacefully in her crib, her tiny chest rising and falling with each breath. In that moment, I thought about what family truly means. For 5 years, I believed family was about giving without expecting anything in return. I lived by that belief, sacrificing everything for the people who raised me. But one night, one simple question, one mocking laugh shattered everything I thought I knew. That night, I realized I had been loving the wrong people all along. Before I share my story, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. If this story touches your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Now let me take you back to where it all started. I grew up in a small town in Ohio, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone, and front porches are gathering spots on summer evenings. My father, Roger, worked as a plumber, spending long hours fixing pipes and dealing with emergencies at all hours of the night. My mother, Linda, worked as a cashier at the local supermarket, standing on her feet for 8 hours a day, scanning groceries and making small talk with neighbors. We were a middle-class family. Nothing fancy, but nothing lacking either. We had a modest 3-bedroom house with a small backyard where my mother grew tomatoes every summer. Life was simple and predictable. Then came my sister Jenna, 4 years younger than me. From the moment she arrived, something shifted in our household. She was the baby girl my parents had always wanted, and they made no secret of their adoration for her. Growing up, I was constantly reminded of my responsibilities as the older brother. My father would pull me aside and say things like, "Son, you need to be strong. A man takes care of his family. That is what real men do." My mother would add, "Always look out for your sister. She is younger and needs your protection." I took those words to heart. I believed them completely. The differences in how Jenna and I were treated became apparent early on. Jenna got new clothes for every school year while I wore hand-me-downs from cousins or items from thrift stores. When Jenna showed interest in music, my parents immediately signed her up for piano lessons, paying $50 a week without hesitation. When I wanted to join the baseball team and needed equipment, I was told to get a job if I wanted extras. So at 16, I started working at a local grocery store, bagging groceries and stocking shelves after school. I saved every penny, buying my own clothes, my own school supplies, my own everything. I told myself this was building character. When Jenna made mistakes, my parents would make excuses for her. "She is just a kid," they would say. She did not mean it. But when I made even the smallest error, I faced lectures that lasted hours about responsibility and disappointment. I learned to be perfect, to never give them any reason to criticize me. Despite everything, I excelled academically. I studied hard, determined to build a better life for myself. My efforts paid off when I earned a scholarship to Ohio State University, majoring in accounting. I worked part-time throughout college, sometimes juggling 2 jobs while maintaining my grades. I graduated with honors and landed a position at a reputable financial firm in Columbus. It was there during a client meeting that I met Scarlett. She worked in marketing for a partner company, and the moment she walked into that conference room, something stirred in my chest. She was smart, confident, and had this warmth about her that drew people in. Scarlett came from a working-class family in Kentucky. Like me, she had been self-reliant from a young age, putting herself through college and building her career through sheer determination. We understood each other in ways that felt almost destined. We dated for 2 years before I proposed. She said yes on a rainy evening in a small park where we had our first date. A year later, we bought a modest house in the suburbs of Columbus. Life was good. We were building something real. Then everything changed. I was 25 when my father injured his back on the job. A pipe burst in a basement, and when he tried to fix it in an awkward position, something snapped. The doctors said he could no longer do heavy labor. Just like that, his career as a plumber was over. Around the same time, my mother was diagnosed with diabetes. The medication she needed was expensive, and her job at the supermarket did not offer good insurance. Medical bills started piling up like autumn leaves, each one adding weight to my parents' already strained finances. They called me one evening, their voices heavy with something I had never heard before: desperation. My father, a man who had always prided himself on providing for his family, could barely get the words out. My mother was crying in the background. Without hesitation, I told them I would help. I set up automatic payments for their electricity, water, health insurance, and rent. Every month, about $1,500 left my account and went to keeping my parents afloat. Scarlett supported my decision completely, even though we were trying to save for our future, maybe a bigger house, college funds for future children. "They are your parents," she said, squeezing my hand. "We will figure it out." And we did figure it out month after month for 5 long years. While I was writing checks and making sacrifices, my sister Jenna was living a completely different life. She had married Derek, a sales manager at a luxury car dealership in Cincinnati. They lived in a large house with 4 bedrooms, a swimming pool, and a 3-car garage. Jenna did not work. Instead, she spent her days as a social media influencer, posting photos of her vacations to tropical islands, her designer handbags, her perfect brunches at trendy restaurants. Her Instagram was a highlight reel of excess, each post garnering hundreds of likes from strangers who envied her lifestyle. Not once in 5 years did Jenna send our parents a single dollar. When I carefully brought up the idea of Jenna contributing, my mother immediately shut me down. "Your sister has her own family now," she said, as if that explained everything. "Derek does not like giving money to other people. We should not bother them." But they had no problem bothering me. Month after month, the money flowed from my account to theirs, and rarely did I hear a thank you. It was simply expected, like the sun rising in the east. When Scarlett and I visited my parents, the conversations always centered on Jenna. "Did you see Jenna's new posts? She is in the Bahamas this week. Jenna just bought a Louis Vuitton bag. She has such good taste. Derek is doing so well at work. Jenna really knew how to pick a husband." I would sit there, having just paid their rent, and listen to them praise my sister for spending money on herself. Once, frustrated beyond measure, I suggested that maybe Jenna could help out financially, since she and Derek were clearly doing well. My mother looked at me like I had suggested something obscene. "We cannot ask Jenna for money. She has her own life. Besides, you are the son. Sons take care of their parents." I swallowed my anger, as I always did. I told myself it was my duty, my responsibility. I was the son, the strong one, the provider. That was my role. Scarlett saw what was happening. She would watch these interactions with growing frustration, her jaw tightening every time my parents dismissed my contributions while praising Jenna's spending habits. But she respected my choices even when she disagreed with them. Then Scarlett got pregnant. We were overjoyed, calling family members to share the news. When I told my parents, my mother's response was a simple, "Oh, that is nice," before immediately changing the subject to talk about Jenna's upcoming trip to Europe. No congratulations, no excitement about becoming grandparents, just a pivot to their favorite daughter. When Lily was born, my parents came to visit. They stayed for 2 hours, barely held their granddaughter, and then left, claiming they were tired from the drive. 2 hours for their first grandchild. Meanwhile, whenever Jenna had so much as a bad day, my parents would drive 2 hours to Cincinnati to comfort her, bringing homemade food and staying for the weekend. I tried to ignore the disparity. I told myself that my parents were older now, that the drive was hard for them, that they did not mean to show favoritism. I made excuse after excuse, building a fortress of denial around the obvious truth. Scarlett started having serious conversations with me about the imbalance. "Your parents treat you like an ATM machine, Marcus. They take and never give anything back. Not even gratitude. They are just old-fashioned," I would say. "They do not know how to express appreciation." "That is not old-fashioned. That is just taking you for granted." I knew she was right, but admitting it meant confronting a painful reality I was not ready to face. One Thanksgiving, Scarlett and I arrived early at my parents' house to help with the cooking. We spent hours in the kitchen preparing the turkey, making side dishes, setting the table. Jenna and Derek arrived 3 hours late, breezing in without apology. And immediately my parents ushered Jenna to the best seat at the table, serving her the first and largest portion of everything. Scarlett was silent the entire drive home. I knew she was upset, but I did not know what to say. What could I say? The evidence was undeniable. That night I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. I was exhausted. Not just physically, but emotionally, financially, spiritually. I was giving everything to people who saw it as their due, who never acknowledged my sacrifices, who loved my sister more openly and obviously. But I kept going. Because that is what good sons do. Lily was 3 years old when everything finally broke. I had been promoted at work, a significant step up that came with increased responsibilities and recognition. The company was hosting a formal gala to honor outstanding employees, and I was one of the people being recognized. It was a big deal, the kind of career milestone that could open doors for years to come. Scarlett needed to attend with me. This was not optional. Spouses were expected at these events, and her presence mattered both personally and professionally. The problem was Lily. Our regular babysitter was dealing with a family emergency and could not help. We called everyone we knew, but on such short notice, no one was available. Then I thought of my parents. In 5 years, I had never asked them for anything. Not once. I had given and given, but I had never made a request. Surely I thought they would be happy to spend an evening with their granddaughter. It was just a few hours from 6 in the evening until around 11 at night. I would handle all the transportation, dropping Lily off and picking her up. All they had to do was watch her. I called my mother, keeping my tone polite and respectful. "Hi, Mom. I have a favor to ask. There is this important work event coming up, and Scarlett and I both need to attend. Would you and Dad be able to watch Lily for a few hours? I can bring her over and pick her up afterward." There was silence on the other end of the line. Then my mother laughed. Not a warm laugh. A mocking, dismissive laugh. "You think we are your servants?" she said, her voice dripping with contempt. "We are not here to babysit whenever you decide you need a night out." I was stunned. Words caught in my throat. Then I heard my father grab the phone. "You have money," he said gruffly. "Hire someone. Do not expect your parents to be at your beck and call. We are not your servants." I tried to explain that this was the first time I had ever asked for help, that this event was important, that Lily was their granddaughter. But before I could finish, they cut me off. "We are busy," my mother said. "We cannot help you." The line went dead. I stood there, phone in hand, unable to move. Scarlett had been sitting next to me, listening to the entire conversation through the speaker. Her face had gone pale. 5 years. Thousands of dollars. Countless sacrifices. And this was what I got in return. They could not spare a few hours for their own granddaughter. I sank into a chair, my hands trembling. My eyes burned with tears I refused to let fall. Everything came flooding back. Every check I had written. Every dismissive comment. Every time they praised Jenna while ignoring me. Every family gathering where I felt like an outsider. Every sleepless night I had spent balancing my budget to make sure my parents were comfortable. Scarlett wrapped her arms around me. "I know you love them," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "But they do not deserve your love, Marcus. They never have." For the first time in my life, I allowed myself to feel truly angry. Not frustrated, not disappointed, but genuinely righteously angry. I had been used. I had been taken for granted. I had poured myself out for people who saw me as nothing more than a source of income. That night, I did not sleep. I lay awake, staring into the darkness, making a decision that would change everything. The next morning, I called my bank and canceled the automatic payments to my parents. No more electricity bills. No more water bills. No more insurance premiums. No more rent. After 5 years, the money stopped. Then I opened the family group chat and typed a message. "Starting today, I will no longer be providing financial support. You told me you are not my servants. You are right. And I am not your ATM machine. Good luck. I blocked my parents' numbers. I blocked Jenna's number. I shut the door on 5 years of one-sided sacrifice. Scarlett held my hand and looked into my eyes. I am so proud of you, she said. We hired a professional babysitter for the night of the gala. The event went beautifully. I received my recognition, shook hands with company executives, and for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. The first week of silence was strange. Part of me expected the phone to ring, expected some kind of acknowledgement or apology. But there was nothing. My parents could not reach me, and I had no desire to reach them. Then Jenna called from an unknown number. "What is wrong with you?" she screamed the moment I answered. "Mom and Dad are freaking out. You are being so selfish and ungrateful. How could you abandon them?" I remained calm. "If you are so concerned about them, Jenna, why do you not help? You have a rich husband. You live in a mansion. Surely you can afford to pay their bills." She sputtered, clearly not expecting that response. "That is not the point." "That is exactly the point," I said. "For 5 years I have paid for everything while you contributed nothing. Now it is your turn. Step up or stop complaining." She hung up on me. A few days later, I heard through a distant relative that my parents were panicking. Bills were piling up. The rent was past due. They had no idea how to handle their finances without my monthly contributions. Reality was setting in. Then, about 10 days after I sent that message, the doorbell rang. Scarlett and I were having dinner with Lily, enjoying a peaceful evening at home. I opened the door to find my parents standing on the porch looking like ghosts of their former selves. My mother's eyes were red and swollen from crying. My father, who had always carried himself with rigid pride, seemed diminished. His shoulders slumped, his voice shaky. "Please, son," my father said, struggling to get the words out. "We are sorry. Come back. We need you." My mother fell to her knees, sobbing. "I did not mean what I said. It was a joke. Please do not abandon us. We are your parents." I stood in the doorway looking down at the people who had raised me, the people who had taken my sacrifices for granted, the people who had mocked me when I asked for the smallest favor. Scarlett quietly took Lily to another room, giving me space. 5 years, I said, my voice steady despite the emotion churning inside me. For 5 years I paid your bills, every single month. Did you ever thank me? Did you ever appreciate what I was doing for you? Silence. Jenna never gave you a penny, not 1 cent. Did you ever ask her to help? Did you ever call her ungrateful? More silence. I asked you for one thing, one small thing, to spend a few hours with your granddaughter. And you laughed at me. You called me entitled. You treated me like I was being unreasonable. My mother sobbed harder. My father could not meet my eyes. I am not doing this out of anger, I continued. I am doing this because I finally understand that I deserve to be treated with respect. I deserve to have my contributions acknowledged. I deserve to be more than just a checkbook. My mother reached out toward me. Please, Marcus. We will change. We will do better. I took a step back. Maybe you will. Maybe you will not. But right now, I need to take care of my family. My wife, my daughter, the people who actually appreciate me. I closed the door gently but firmly. Walking back inside, I wiped the tears from my face. Scarlett met me in the hallway and wrapped her arms around me. We stood there for a long time holding each other. It was the hardest thing I had ever done, and the most necessary. The first few weeks after that confrontation were difficult. I woke up in the middle of the night worried about my parents, wondering if I had done the right thing. Guilt gnawed at me in quiet moments, questioning whether I was being too harsh. Scarlett was my anchor during those turbulent days. She reminded me that setting boundaries was not abandonment. It was self-respect. She encouraged me to seek professional help to process my emotions. I started seeing a therapist who specialized in family dynamics. Through our sessions, I learned about concepts I had never encountered before, things like enmeshment and emotional manipulation. I began to understand that the guilt I felt was not a sign that I had done something wrong. It was a conditioned response programmed into me since childhood. Slowly, things got better. I slept more soundly. I focused more clearly at work. I laughed more freely with Scarlett and Lily. With the money I was no longer sending to my parents, we started planning for our future. We began looking at larger homes places with backyards where Lily could play. We opened a college fund for her. We took a family vacation to the beach, something we had never been able to afford before. Lily started preschool and made friends. Watching her thrive, surrounded by love and stability, reminded me every day why I had made the choice I made. Scarlett got promoted at work, her career flourishing alongside mine. We became partners in every sense of the word, building a life together that was based on mutual respect and genuine love. I never completely closed the door on my parents. I told them that when they truly understood what they had done, when they could offer a sincere apology and demonstrate changed behavior, we could talk about rebuilding our relationship. But I would not chase them. I would not beg for their love. I would not sacrifice my well-being for people who saw my sacrifices as obligations. Some days I wonder if they will ever change. Some days I hope they will. But I have made peace with the possibility that they might not. What I know for certain is this: family is not about blood. Family is about respect, appreciation, and love that flows in both directions. You cannot buy someone's affection, and you should not have to. The people who truly love you will value you for who you are, not for what you can give them. Setting boundaries is not selfish. It is survival. It is recognizing your own worth and refusing to accept less than you deserve. I used to think being a good son meant giving until I had nothing left. Now I know that being a good person means protecting your peace, cherishing those who cherish you, and walking away from those who do not. My daughter Lily will grow up knowing her worth. She will never beg for love or acceptance. She will know that her value is inherent, not earned through sacrifice or suffering. That is the legacy I want to leave. That is the lesson this painful journey taught me. I do not know what the future holds for my relationship with my parents. But I know this: I have finally learned to love myself. And that has made all the difference. If you are watching this and you are in a similar situation, please know that you are not alone. Your feelings are valid. Your worth is not measured by how much you give to others. It is okay to say no. It is okay to walk away. It is okay to choose yourself. Now I have a question for you. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family members who took you for granted? How did you handle it? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like. If you want to see more stories like this, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, please share this video with them. Thank you for watching and for being part of this community. I wish you peace, strength, and the courage to know your worth. Take care of yourselves. You deserve it.